Right now, the situation that we're facing in Europe is one where we have to say that the crisis is doing a part of the job of essentially convincing us as a political entity and consumers to do the right thing, which is to electrify. The crisis that we're going through, the energy crisis, is really a crisis of imported fossil fuels. I think there can be no doubt about that. And we heard many arguments, some of them convincing for drilling here in Europe, and I think there might be some sense to that in certain regions. What we need to remember is that we're never going to power ourselves with fossil fuels in Europe. We're going to continue to import. We import today more than 90%, and even more drilling is not going to change that materially. So the way forward is really to electrify. That is what's really crucial. The good news is that due to the pain at the pump, which is real for consumers, they are actually taking action on themselves. We're seeing a significant increase in the sales of electric cars as a consequence of this crisis. We're seeing people beginning to consider new solutions in their own homes. If we want to take this to the next level, which is what is needed, we're looking at essentially having up to half of all energy supplied by electricity by 2040. That is very substantial, and essentially three things need to happen in order for that to work. First of all, we need to change the supply. We need to expand the electricity system very materially, and we need to think of the supply in a holistic manner. That means it needs to be decarbonized, but it needs to be stable more than anything else. And I think Frans said some very wise things here. Renewables will be the bulk of this new system. Nuclear will play a role, and then we need to have a residual amount of hydrocarbons to stabilize the system. We must make sure, however, that we also deploy the storage solutions, short-term storage, but also increasingly long-term storage solutions, and make the business models for them. The good news is that this is coming by itself into the market. We're seeing that emerge now. So we need to make sure that in a society where more and more of our energy is based on electricity, that electricity is reliable. So that's on the supply side. The demand side, we need then to gradually also transform the energy uses across all major segments of the economy. In his time as Vice President of the Commission, I think Frans did a lot of very good things to essentially couple the decarbonization agenda with the transformation of the energy system, introduction of renewables, but also electrification of the broader system. So the fleet initiative that we have on cars right now is very important. Now the next frontier is really industry and making sure that it is sufficiently attractive for industry to electrify. And the last point here is about that switch, and that's really about pricing. Making sure that we have an attractive, affordable energy source in electricity, and that's a lot about the regulatory frameworks.